All right.
That's it. So you've got to let the resonance draw out before you stop it.
Oh, okay. Hang on a second. Oh, sorry. You got it. Is that right? Was that hitting the
you're
right spot?
Yep. You got to just wait for the vibration and that resonance to stop.
Oh, wow. It just keeps going. That's crazy. So, I've got Mel here, and this is the first time back here for a long time. So, Ruben, my mate, was saying, look, you should go for season 2. I thought, okay, we'll give it a shot. And I used to work with Mel, and I just talked to her all the time.
I don't think we worked, did we? We just spoke all the time.
Spoke all the time. That's why she only came in like one day a week, because if she did come in, I'd be speaking with her. And but it was really cool. Mel introduced me to a lot of stuff, and so the last, I would say probably last 3 months, maybe about 3 months, I've really started to change my lifestyle and be aware of things, and it's really, really changed the way I perceive everything. And it was from a couple of key conversations I had with you and different parts of the journey, and I think the sound resonated as well. I was on a different path to you, and I know that you've got a background in working with sound healing. It's correct. It's called sound healing.
Yeah.
Yep. And more of a holistic life that I'm trying to live now. For lack of a better term, I'm not quite sure what you guys call it, but I've really enjoyed the journey. And what sparked it off, it's crazy what sparked it off, but you know, we both work in real estate, and we were heading to a real estate conference, and my boss had bought me a coffee, something to that effect. Anyway, I said, look, if I have 2 coffees, my brain just goes crazy by the afternoon. Even if I have one, my brain goes a little bit funny. And Mel's like, well, your brain's sort of, how can I put it? It's just overloaded. You know, it's got too much going on, probably stressed. And it just got me thinking about the fact that maybe I was stressed, and maybe my brain was getting fried and overloaded because of that stress. And I'd always thought about stress, and I thought, you know, you get stressed, and then, you know, what happens after that? And people would say, oh, you know, you don't stress too much, and, you know, it's bad for you. And I always say, well, why is it bad for you? And I'm like, they couldn't give me an answer. And when you said that to me, that my brain was probably a little bit overloaded, and I felt like when you said that, maybe all the stress and the things going on in my life were sort of overloading me a little bit, and maybe I wasn't listening to my body. And I think one of the key things you said was to listen to your body. And then I started to sort of listen to my body from there. But you'd been on the journey for a while of like holistic healing, and I guess being more in tune with your body and so forth. And I kind of thought it was a little bit, you know, spiritual and la-di-da, and, you know, I didn't know what to think of it. But I've been going into different experiences in my life, and all the conversations that we've had have had a real benefit to me. Really, really changed my life around, and I'll you know, have a bit of a chat with you through this podcast about that. But tell us how you got into sort of holistic healing and your journey around that.
Yeah, so it wasn't just an overnight thing. It was something that it happened over a duration of a number of years, and I guess different events, different things that occurred that came up. Probably what threw me into all of it to start with was going through a divorce, and just having that concept of, wow, I'm a single mum. That wasn't on the radar. That wasn't on the list.
Yeah, yeah.
As a child, it's not something that you grow up thinking that that's what you're going to be or do. And that was quite tough. That was very stressful on me. And I dived into reading Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life.
Yep.
book.
Okay. Cool.
I've actually got one here for you to give to you today as a gift.
I think we went because we're at that book fest and
Yes.
you were trying to look out because it's a book that you give to people, isn't it?
Yes, it
Yep.
is. So I was reading that while going through court.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty tough time for me, but that book really helped so much.
Okay.
And it was, a lot to do with energy, relationships within yourself, mindset, and mostly about thoughts. Louise Hay is really big on affirmations and thoughts, and also the energy that can create within your body. So,
Yep.
Thoughts, they hold a certain vibration, and they can manifest within the body.
Yep.
And come out, in forms of stress, and then
Yep.
later on down the line, I suppose, potentially turn into dis-ease within the body.
Mm-hmm.
So that really opened my eyes. That was the first part for me, and then loved
Yep.
Louise Hay's. I ended up buying her CDs.
Yep.
Back then it was a CD next to my bed, listening to AM and PM meditations. And
Okay.
that was amazing again.
Yeah.
I just started to expand, I suppose. Like you said, my perspective for life started to change at that point. And although I had a lot of negativity and things going on around me, my energy and my mind and what have you started changing. Yeah, that perspective. That's where it began. Yeah,
That's
so
where it began.
it sort of went on from there, but I reckon that was the very beginning.
Yeah.
There was probably a couple of years there where I didn't do a whole lot more, but then I did have another event in my life where after our divorce, my children's father actually went to prison.
Oh, yep.
And that was pretty traumatizing for me and the kids. And it was that, wow, what is my life like?
Yeah, gotcha.
That's not how this is meant to be.
Yeah. Yep.
So I dived into journaling.
Yeah.
I picked up a book and just started writing and couldn't stop writing. So much emotion and tears came with that as well.
Oh, wow. Was that daily?
Daily. I actually couldn't put it down. For the last year or two after that, I couldn't put my journal down.
Oh.
Yeah. It came with me everywhere.
And it's something that you go back and reflect on at different times, or
I did,
later
but
on?
I did, but going through, I sort of ended a part of a chapter within my life, is what I like to say, and that was sort of coming out of that and then entering into a new relationship a few years later.
Yeah.
And at that time, I just decided energetically that's not coming with me.
Gotcha.
And I actually did like a big ritual around it and burnt it all
Yeah.
in my backyard. So.
Yeah, well, it served its purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
I used to journal a lot. I got books everywhere. I like to write things down.
Yeah.
I got half, A4 books here. You give me a whiteboard marker, I'm writing on everything, and just getting it out of my head. I thought, and I go back. It's for me. It's probably mainly ideas and goals that come up, probably more. So it's not so much journaling, and I understand the benefits of journaling in terms of getting it sort of out, being locked away in your mind, and then out on paper, kind of thing. And so it's probably not trapped there as much. Is that?
That's pretty much the concept of it. That's the energy part of it, where like you say, within your mind, but it's within your body as a whole. It's also within your energy field.
Yep.
So all of those thoughts and memories that you're holding on to within mind, body, energy field,
Yep.
you're carrying that with you all the time, every day. So writing it down is just one way of getting it out. It's just like talking to someone.
Yeah.
And you're able to get it out verbally.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of concept.
Yeah.
And
you're not having to like, because you can be truthful when you're journaling.
Yeah,
you can just say
100%.
what you're feeling right now, and
yep.
and
there's no judgment.
No, exactly. Yeah. Even a counselor is like it has barriers. Like a psychologist has barriers, but if you're just getting it out there and being honest, and no wonder you burnt it when you finished. But look, that's one way, and I noticed that you teach a lot of different things now, you were like in terms of yoga, you did sound healing, and was it something that you kind of like you saw that it worked for you, and you thought, oh, you know what, I really think that other people are going to benefit from what I've learned, and I'll be able to like pass it on to other people. So if they're going through like those traumatic times or whatever it might be, you can kind of give them a gift.
For sure.
As such? Yeah,
absolutely. You just start to get this feeling, it's hard to describe because it's hard to put into words, but it's just this feeling of, I suppose you're releasing all the low frequency, and your body is becoming attuned to a much higher frequency, and of course, you start to think, wow, well, what about these other people? Like, how can I help them?
Yep.
And that's where I decided to go into yoga and just have a little dabble in there and see where that took me, and I loved it. And I feel like I helped a lot of people through yoga.
Yeah.
And also just through my own healing journey and what I experienced for myself, and able to guide people through my yoga classes in that way as well.
And so yoga's the physical body, and is it a physical, mental? How does it like provide healing? I guess.
So yoga is an all over healing. It's you're healing mentally, you're healing your body, you're healing energetically. The ultimate goal for yoga, which a lot of people don't realize, is actually meditation. Is actually to step into and dive into meditation on a deeper level.
Okay.
So when you're moving the body, you're activating everything that needs to be activated within the body, so that it can eventually then really dive down into that rest and digest, and completely come into a meditative state a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your body's it's expanded all its energy. It's done what it wants to do, and now you're kind of like, because you're exhausted from that, I guess, and now you can be more in tune with that meditative state. Mm-hmm. And is that something that you do? Like, I remember you saying that you did yoga classes, and this is so me too. This is what I would have done. You do a yoga class? You do it for half an hour, and then you rush back, jump in the car, or not yourself, but people that you were teaching. And
I've done that too.
Yeah. Rush back in your car, and you're back in the busy life.
Yeah.
And, and it's not the practice. It's just like, they've just done it for a minute, and they haven't, like they maintain that kind of lifestyle. Is it a yogi lifestyle? I don't know what it's called. But, and so it's just, we give ourselves like not giving yourself the time to actually appreciate what that actually is. So I guess a lot of people would have done the exercise, but maybe got into the meditative part. Is that what would happen?
Yeah, I suppose nowadays yoga is more of the asana, the exercise part.
Yeah.
And yeah. it's really, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, it's like a lot of the time nowadays it is more around the exercise.
And so because I hadn't heard that meditative part before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ultimate goal with yoga is to dive into a deeper meditation.
Yeah.
And meditation ultimately is the practice of letting go and raising that vibration.
Yep. And getting to that higher energy level that you're talking about.
Yep.
I kind of know, I kind of understand what you're saying, and these are the things that have changed my life. When you told me that, I was probably stressed out, and then I was thinking, okay, well then I probably need to slow down. And I remember, we'd be in the room, and I'd be chatting to you about real estate, and I think we had this training going on, and you had to make so many calls, and you had a top performer within the company, the broader company that we're working for, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be number one. I'm going to make all these calls. I'm going to da 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 da. And you look at me like, oh, it just seems exhausting to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like in terms of it wasn't your goal. And I kind of thought about that. It's not that you get so driven, and we're kind of go, and it's not that I didn't want to do my job, but I just started to think about how you're probably right. I'm probably doing like too many things and wanting to always climb all these mountains. And why is my brain fried? And I started to slow down like everything. I started to take my time, and I do this sound different to the type of sound healing that you do, but it's more the megahertz and different type of frequencies. And so I listen to those frequencies for about an hour, and I do it pretty much every day. And I have found different frequencies do different things, which is amazing, because you've seen me when, we're in a training, and I'm always moving, like, 100 minutes, just always moving. I just got to get up. I got to go. And I'm always, and that's just me constantly. And then what happens because of that is that my brain doesn't function probably the way it should, because it's kind of overloaded kind of all the time, and everything is coming at me. And so when I do these times where I'm just laying down and I'm just, listening to the sounds, and it sounds a little bit unmanly, but often in the bath. And so I've got them on, I'm in the bath, and I listen to it, and then I really, my mind just starts to slow down and stop, and I go into these meditative places, and I feel that by slowing down my mind, I'm actually improving my thought patterns and life, and I can hear things a little bit better, and it's like meditative state that you're talking about. But it's how much stimulation am I going through on a daily basis? That's what I was thinking about. How overstimulated is my brain? That 1 hour is the only time where I'm not overstimulating my brain, apart from when I'm sleeping. So, I get up in the morning, most people check their phone, check the news, go to the gym, jump in the car, quickly get ready for work, rush to work, get to work, you're 100 miles an hour at work. And even at work, you were saying, do you actually like stop and go out and take an hour out and just slow down? I'm like, not really. and I tried it a couple of times. I would go out and I would sit down in a place where I could just eat my lunch and do nothing else. Just eat my lunch. And that was another part of my day where I was slowing down a little bit. And then, you got the radio pumping in the car, and it's constant noise from that. And if you live near traffic, you can hear the traffic all the time. And then, you're playing with the kids, and then you're watching TV, and then you got the lights flickering at you in the fluorescent. You're in the shopping centers, people, and so everything's busy, and your mind is like 100 miles an hour. And I think back to everyone's got their different timelines on life and when creation of life and that happened. But I think about even 20,000 years ago, people were hunting, you go out, you hunt, you're on high alert while you hunt, you do that, and then you're back, cooking your meal, and you've settled down a little bit. And, that's how we were built, and then in modern day times, everything is just so fast, it's so fast paced, and even if you sleep in an area where you can hear traffic going constant 24/7, that it's still noise and it's still things. So stilling down and making that time for myself and that meditative states has really helped me in so many ways. It's helped me like physically, like in terms of, and not having to get substance, like not having to drink because you got this huge amount of anxiety. Well, you don't have that anxiety because you've slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
Even drinking is, people will go and have a drink in the afternoon. All they're doing is giving themselves a Band-Aid, pushing past all that noise. And
well, they're doing it to slow down because they don't know how to slow down themselves.
Yeah. It's a self-regulating thing, isn't it? Almost. Yeah. And I found that, and I'm like, I don't really want to. I just want to. I'd rather spend an hour, listening to the sound and everything like that. And subsequently, it's transformed me in so many areas of my life because, they say I'm ADHD. I'm not ADHD. I don't know, but I'm 100 miles an hour. And, if you're going to diagnose anyone, it's probably going to be me. You know what I mean? And so they gave me, I tried the tablets and stuff like that. And then if I think back now, all it was doing was pushing past, giving me, and it wasn't allowing me to slow down. It was actually like ramping me up a little bit in a way. And it wasn't really what I needed. And what I needed was to be more mindful of my body and more mindful of what was going on. And am I hearing traffic right now? Hang on, let me just get away from that traffic right now. Is my radio playing like all the way to work? Do I need it to play? And if I do, can I just turn it down like a little bit? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or can I have nothing on? And kids are so stimulated as well. But what it's also collated to is relationships and slowing down time, which is really cool. That I can go to like it sounds pretty soppy, but I could watch a sunset, I could do something, and I can slow that time like right down now, and I can actually enjoy that kind of that moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're going through that traumatic experiences in life and it's a cold day.
Everything goes fast.
Yeah, it does. It goes fast but goes slow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like your worlds go fast right now, but a month takes ages to get through. And then but those days that happen where you're feeling like that, and it's let's say it's a cold day and a little sun ray comes from out of nowhere and it just warms you up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know those moments?
Yep.
And it's those slowing down, because in that moment you're slowing right down.
Yeah.
You're appreciating that little bit of sunshine that's coming through. And so I go to the beach now with my daughter, or I'm doing something with her. It's fun, and I can slow that right down, and I can be present right now because I've identified what's going on around me now. Because I'm like, there's noise, there's this, there's that. Oh, okay. Well, right now, hang on, I'm right here, like I'm right here in the moment. So it's that. It's listening to my body a little bit more, because I've gone through this journey where I've had these pins and needles like forever, like 4 years now I've had them. And they're saying, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this. And I'm like, well, let me just try and heal it myself before I start diagnosing it with, things like MS and all these things that they want to sort of push you towards getting tests for. I'm like, well, let me just try and slow down my body and my system and so forth. But what would you say that is like? What goes on in the body when stress happens, or you said that rest and digest, which was the first time I'd ever heard that was from you saying that. What are those keys that allow you to rest? What is it that's actually happening to your body, like when it's in that flight and fight mode and all this stuff is going on, and stress and
I mean, it's different for everyone as far as what gets them to that point.
Yeah.
and it's great hearing your journey, you know, sound has been amazing for you, obviously, listening to that. And slowing down is a huge concept with that as well. I know that's something that really helped me when I started to actually understand the concept of what slowing down actually was.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening within the body? I'm probably not really the best person to...
You just know what happens. Yeah.
to really talk about that.
Yeah.
For me, it's a feeling, like I can just feel when my body is either going into fight and flight. So when I am becoming quite stressed, like there's certain symptoms that I'll pick up on that I know about within my body.
Yeah.
Or even my mind, if my mind's starting to race too fast, I start to realise, okay, enough's enough. I need to do something tonight after work. I need to maybe jump in the sauna or listen to a meditation or go for a little walk.
Yep. Are those practices just are they just slowing? Are they giving you time to slow down the mind? Like as part of that, like not having any distractions or whatever it might be, and it's just time where your brain's not going like 100 miles like an hour. Is that because you said it was racing before? Is that one of the tools that you do to do that?
Yeah, and it just depends on what I feel like doing at the time as well. So, I mean, nature is always the most perfect place to go.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, it provides such high frequency, and so we're able to step out into nature and feel that frequency. And it sort of reattunes our energy field.
Yeah.
You know, we all know that feeling when we go to the beach or feet are on the sand or, just looking up, laying at the stars or the trees. And you can start to, like, challenge yourself. Lay on the grass, on the ground, look up at the stars or the trees and start to notice when your body is actually going from a fight and flight mode into a rest and digest. So you're slowing down, and then all of a sudden your body will just like that unwind, that now it's fully rested.
Yeah. And it's good to to stay there long enough, or just, I guess, without expectation on yourself, is just to notice when it does that. Is that what you're sort of saying?
Yeah. Start noticing when that happens within you. And everyone's probably a little bit different in that aspect, the symptoms that they have. That's what a few years ago, that's sort of how I realised when I was coming in and out of those two modalities. Is my speaker still working?
Yeah, just something happened there.
Yeah,
hang on. There we go. You're right. You're good. You're good. You're back.
I stopped hearing myself, but I can hear myself here. That's something I did a few years ago, is just started to really recognise when I was going into a stressful state and coming out of a stressful state within my body.
Yeah, okay.
So it's sort of similar to what you're talking about with slowing down and the concept of, okay, there's a car noise over there, but you're able to sort of draw that out now and, look elsewhere. It's the same, very similar concept, but it's that feeling now within the body.
Yep.
So you'll be able to feel when, so say you're in a rest and digest scenario, you're well relaxed.
Yep.
And there can be a couple of different things. Either something happens really instantaneously and all of a sudden your body's gone tight and tense, and, and then there's another scenario where it's sort of longer drawn out, and that one's a little bit harder to learn and to get a hold of until perhaps maybe it's too late and you're so overstressed.
Yes.
So it's learning, in those moments, and I feel like I'm relearning that again now because I'm gone back into real estate.
Yes.
it's super fast paced.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And for me, yeah, it's this big relearning of that. So I'm really mindful of when I am starting to feel stressed.
Yeah.
I'm all of a sudden, okay, yeah, like I was saying before,
Yeah.
tonight I need to make sure I'm not in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And I'm in my own little space.
Yeah.
You know, I do have a sauna at home, so I'm lucky enough to jump in that, and I just turn my music on.
Yeah.
I've got my sound equipment, of course, so I can use that as well.
Yeah.
You know, yoga in the mornings is so lovely as well.
Yeah. My sister does that.
Yeah.
Pretty much every morning. Yeah.
Yep. It just completely changes, and it also you are able to take that into your workplace as well, and into your work, and then with all the people that you're talking to on the phone, and the clients that you're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you there. And so, like, when you're in those different states, actually, sorry, when you were saying that you can hear your body, you know when you're in a flight and fight mode, and you get stressed up and you're tensed, and you can feel that one, but it's the the longer term one that you might catch before it's too late. You know what I mean? And then so probably what I'm getting out of it all is that it's kind of like a preventative medicine that you kind of like you can. I hear this. It's a lot in real estate and a lot in hype stuff now, and everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, and you got to grind until you die, and keep going, and everyone's like, oh, there's no balance, and you just got to keep going. What balance? And that's all right if down the track you want to be on medicine of some kind. You know what I mean? You're right, because I get that now, because I was a believer in that, and I'd heard the stuff about stress and that your adrenals they can handle anything, and adrenal fatigue is nothing, it's a myth, and all this stuff that was kind of like backlashing anything that was balanced or it was holistic or whatever it was. It was more like just go in there and just fight. And I don't. Everything's got to break at some point. You cannot go at that pace like forever. Had I not got sort of like these little pins and needles, and they're not like debilitating or anything like that, I can just feel it. I wouldn't have been thinking, oh, hey, something's wrong as well. You got to sort of slow down a little bit. Something's not right here in the body. Something's got to break. Yeah,
it's awesome that you thought to yourself, I'm going to self-heal this. And that's the metaphysical aspect where stress has overwhelmed you for so long that it's come out in a physical form.
Yeah.
Most
definitely.
I meant to bring a book on that today, and I completely forgot it.
Well, it's most definitely is. It'll come out in a physical form. If it doesn't come out in a physical form, it's going to come out in your attitude or your relationships or whatever it might be.
That's right.
And what I'm finding now, it's always too late. Hey, it's hindsight is but had I been able to slow down things, I would have got so much more out of life.
Yeah.
As opposed to 20 years just went like that, gone. I don't even, if I didn't have photos on Facebook or on my phone to remind me, I wouldn't even know what I did.
Yeah, I'm like that. I look back at when my kids were little and I was going through super stressful times. So much of that has just been erased from my memory.
Yeah.
And you look back and you think, oh gosh, I can't even remember that. And it's...
Yeah. And it's two states. Like you said, sometimes when you stress, things go really fast.
Yeah.
And I said like really slow. So like, you get stressed and you start work on Monday and it's the longest week ever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But sometimes when you're in trauma, life goes... Like the days go really quickly. A day turns into a week turns into a month's a year, and you know what I mean? Or when you're going through stuff, that goes really quickly, but the actual time you're in it is like slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
that's
like,
true.
you're right there.
Yeah.
But you don't remember any of that stuff because it's pain, it's whatever
It's
it might be, it's survival.
You're just trying to get through each day.
Yeah. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at is that that whole stress aspect of life, it'll manifest itself into relationships. You know, it will manifest itself into things in your body. And I think now, like I came from Christian circles for a while. So when I was like 21, I became a Christian, and I was 22, something like that. Anyway, I became a Christian, and I was like one of those radical ones, like Jesus, everything. You know what I mean? I went to Bible college, or I was like preaching on the streets. I was like, I thought I'd found the answer, and so forth. And some people, like, that really resonates with them.
Yeah.
What the danger for me was, is that and I'd heard this said before, I think it might be Carl Jung or someone to that effect, but religion stops you from religious experiences. And I feel that when I was in Christianity, it was like you could pray, you'd pray for things, even though you wouldn't see any healing or whatever it might be, but you'd had to believe that way. So there's certain dynamics of what you could and couldn't do because they were in a particular boundary, set against the Bible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there were some other Christian ministries and stuff like that where they're a little bit loose off the Bible, but generally it was around the Bible. So things like energy healing, things like even meditation, yoga, those are, they'd say that yoga, it was like this serpent that would wrap around your body, and it was really demonstrative of these things. So your only real survival was prayer and hearing from God. And it wasn't like prayer is a meditative state. Like, you know what I mean? If you can pray or worship or whatever it might be. So I found myself in those boundaries, and I found life very difficult. I tried to be the best Christian I could, but I wasn't. Not by the biblical standards, you know what I mean? So everything would get to me after a while, and then I would, I'd sleep a lot. Like I'd sleep a lot, and I didn't have any tools to kind of like, and people will say, "Oh no, this isn't the Bible," and it may well be. I just did. No one showed me, but now I feel like I've got some tools that are really, really helping me. Meditation for one, and I grew up. My dad did meditation, so I grew up with meditation. I knew meditation before I became a Christian. So he would, I believe it's transcendental meditation is the one that he would taught me, which was he gave me a word that I've got the word still. I still know the word, and he would get me to repeat that word. So, but like I said, just very energetic person, very energetic. It took me, I couldn't sit around and do meditation for long, but my dad had to do it. If you didn't talk to him unless at the end of the day, he went to meditate. You know what I mean?
I used to be like that too.
Yeah. So he was a grump, unless you did that.
Don't talk to me unless I've meditated.
So he was like self-regulating himself.
Yeah. Amazing.
He did that, but he was out of that, the 70s movement, you know what I mean? And so, he where some people put that down and went back to the corporate world, he kind of like kept on sort of going with that, and he would do that. So I understand meditation was one tool that I had, and so I've gone back to that, which is the sound healing, which is really, there's two aspects of that sound healing. I think it's the stopping and doing nothing, which is the meditation, and it's the sound itself is actually doing a lot. And the sound meditation that I'm talking about, our journey is a little bit different. On a scientific level, they've done studies on it, and they've shown how you can heal parts of the brain. You can get into these different states. They can get into this alpha state, this beta state, these different flow states, and there's even talk about how it can reset. Now, this guy's talking about how they can reset your different parts of your nervous system through beats and stuff like that. I don't understand the nervous system too much, but there's all different aspects to it. Yeah. One of the aspects you were talking about was the parasympathetic, and the sympathetic. What's the difference between the two?
Well, so when you're talking about fight and flight, it's so that's the sympathetic nervous system, which is exactly the same thing. It's just a different name for it. It's just a different way to put it.
Yep.
And then the same for the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So it's good to be in one state and not in the other state, or they both have their parts to play? But
they both have their parts to play. When you're looking at your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight, we need that because what's going to stop us from jumping off of a building? What's going to stop us from running away from threat? Yeah. That type of thing. Yeah. So we need that, but we just can't. We're not designed to stay in it.
No. Going back to what I said like 20,000 years ago, you would only
need it to run away from your tiger.
Yeah. The old saber-toothed tiger. That comes up. Yeah. Okay, and then the other one, the rested state is generally the one we're probably in most of the time, or you're supposed to be in most of the time, or the rest and digest.
Yeah, I mean, supposed to be. Yeah. And like you say, life is busy. It's not just work. It's also you're sitting in offices with fluoro lights, and you've got radio on constantly and blaring music, and it's so all of that stimulation is putting you in a fight and flight scenario.
And you don't realise it.
No, you don't realise it.
Yeah. And so, because your body's like, so it's effectively, it's just on this heightened mode, like all of the time. And if you know anything about anything, like nothing can last. Like you can't last at that level. And I suppose
this is where it turns into stress within the body, and then disease.
Yeah. Because I'd heard that there's probably different hormones or something like that go along with these types of things. When you're in a heightened state, you get more like, your cortisol and stuff like that. Yeah. But when you rest and digest, whatever is actually within the body that you needed for the fight can actually take itself like out of the body. Like, you know what I mean? Those different chemicals or whatever they might be, they just release themselves and into your gut or whatever it might be, and then out of the body when you're in a rested state. This is what I heard. I don't know if you'd heard that at all, something similar.
Yeah, I've also heard that your body can sort of absorb those hormones as well, depending on how much stress you've held your body in for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
The more adrenaline and more cortisol you're pumping into your body, it ends up finding it difficult to release from your body. So it starts to get absorbed into, for example, fat cells.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. And so the sound stuff that you did, the stuff that I tapped this bowl at the beginning, which I heard before, which is some of the sound stuff I listen to is like that.
Yeah.
And I find different sounds like fascinating. Like, my favorite is a didgeridoo.
Oh, I love the didgeridoo too.
Yeah,
that's got to be one of my favorites.
Yeah, there's some frequency that the didgeridoo is on that just does something to my body.
Yeah,
I can't explain it. But I really love that sound. But what is like sound healing? Your sound healing is like different to the sound healing that I'm talking about. But mine's probably more with the waves in the brain and so forth. But yours is probably as well. But
all sound healing is has frequencies.
Yep.
And the vibration. And essentially, it doesn't matter what type of sound healing it is.
Yeah.
All sound. I mean, when we're talking about sound, the whole world is made up of sound.
Yep.
So, firstly, it's understanding what is sound. Well, sound, everything has a frequency.
Yep.
Everything has a vibration
Yep.
to it. So when I say everything, looking outside of us, these walls, the building, trees have a frequency. Some are lower frequencies and some are higher frequencies. Then we can look at, say, like when you think of sound and how everything has a frequency, we can take that inwards within our body then, and we can go, okay, well, my body has a frequency as well.
Yes.
So not just my whole body, but my mind has a frequency. Each and every individual cell that I have within my body has a frequency.
Yeah.
My bones have a frequency.
Yep. It's crazy.
And then you can even take that further into your thoughts.
Yeah.
So your thoughts have a frequency. So you've got low frequency and you've got high frequency.
Yeah.
And so when we go back to the instruments, the same thing again. Sound is frequencies. They're just different frequencies traveling through your body while you're listening to them, while you're in that area of being able to feel them.
Mm-hmm.
And what they can do is when there's a frequency, say we have a certain cell within our body that is at a certain frequency, and all of a sudden we're playing an instrument that is that exact same frequency, that's when we can begin to heal certain cells within the body.
Yeah.
Scientifically, it's proven. You can see like little mandala shapes starting to appear when that same frequency is hitting the inside of the body.
Yeah.
So it's really cool and really fascinating to look at.
Oh, wow.
And the other thing that I love to talk about is with sound is we've seen blood cells. So someone will take a blood sample and it'll be up on the big screen, and all the little blood cells are they're all stuck together and glued, and they're not moving. They're just sort of very stagnant. And after a 20-minute sound healing session, they've redone their blood sample. It's up on the big screen.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all the cells are individualized and they're all moving around freely on their own, like quite fast, and just sort of enjoying themselves on the screen.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of science behind sound healing, and that vibration it continues to vibrate within your body.
Yeah.
Probably for a good sort of 48 hours after a sound healing.
Wow. Yeah, even Einstein has some quotes around sound, like in terms of it being like the source of life. You know what I mean? Everything is a frequency.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is amazing. You know what I mean?
So when you think of frequency, and that's why we talk about when we go out into nature. Well, nature has a high frequency.
Yeah.
The trees, the earth, it's all a very high frequency, and that's why us as humans, we love to go out into nature.
Yeah.
Because it's like a de-stress. So we're absorbing that high frequency.
Yeah.
And it just starts to make us feel really good. And
so with the frequencies, like when you go into nature, when you say it's a higher frequency, are we talking about it's a higher sound? It's an actual sound that we can hear, or it's a frequency that you can't hear, or how does that work?
There's a frequency that you can't hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose your ears are only adapted to a certain what we need it to be adapted to.
Yeah.
And then because I feel like I've been starting to hike again lately, which has been fantastic, and getting out there. And if you can get up to a mountain like high enough, you get to this place where there's like, it feels like there's no sound, but like everything is like still, but like it feels like there's a lot happening inside you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like just beautiful place that you can go to in nature, and you're up high and there's no sound, not much sound, and you're just enjoying like the rustle of the trees or whatever it might be. And I always come back more energized, and not because of the hike, but energized, being around nature. And I love, my dad was like that. I grew up like, we would just go for bushwalks, and my dad would go for bushwalks by himself, and just grew up that way, just being around nature. And I think you're right. Like not on that scientific level, but just being out. Everyone loves being out in nature, don't they? Even if you sleep in a tent, like if you sleep in a tent for a couple of days, even the light coming through the tent, like it resets you. Yeah. Resets your sleeping patterns.
You just feel completely refreshed after
a
camping trip, don't you?
You do. Yeah. And it's like, and you're back to the normal sleeping patterns because you've woken up when the sun comes up and you'll go to sleep when the sun pretty much comes down. You're tired by the day. And so it resets that. So being around nature is definitely a higher frequency. And then, so when you do the sound healing, what are they coming in from mostly body ailments, or it's just that the sound does different things to different people at different times, or?
Yeah, so they're coming in for all sorts of different reasons. Ailments. They're coming in just for relaxation.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are coming to sound healings, they've felt it before, so they're continuously coming back because they just know how much it feels really good for them. And it's similar, I think, the way you said, you go out hiking and then you come back at the end of the day and you feel refreshed and revitalized. It's that same concept with sound healing. It's it's those same frequencies that you're getting from nature. You're probably getting something similar from the sound bowls. So they're coming out of it feeling revived, refreshed.
Okay.
Yeah. So
where did it originate from? The etymology of in terms of sound healing, these bowls and stuff. I obviously I can see some Buddhist, inscribings in these bowls and so forth. But is it a particular practice that Buddhists use, or
I believe it's come from I mean, even when you go back to the Egypt times. In the pyramids. I know we were learning that sound, the reason pyramids were the shape that they were was actually a lot to do with sound. And the tombs that the king and queen would lay in was actually like a sound. There was a sound resonance within there. So they would actually go and lay in there and almost have their own little sound healing or taking place within their tombs.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
It's trippy. The pyramids, wow.
Yeah.
I've heard all stuff about those tombs, all different stuff. Even Christians will claim a little bit on the tombs. And then I heard something about electricity the other day, it makes electricity as the wind comes in, or maybe the sound. It was actually on sound.
Yeah, right.
It was actually something to do with the sound waves coming in. So it was around that. And the energy part, you're talking about energy before, and you've spoken to me about energy and stuff, and doing an energy reading and what is energy? I know what energy is. I can feel it around. I can feel it. You get gut feelings about stuff or whatever it might be, and people have auras but what's it's like? What is it? Is it like what someone lets off energy? Someone will say, "Oh, you got really good energy," or you're high energy, or is it that type of energy that you're talking about, or is it more of a spiritual type thing that people let off particular types of energy?
That's a really tough question.
Yeah.
So as far as spiritually, I don't really agree with that as such. I personally, everyone has energy, and not just everyone, but every living thing has energy. So if you look at plants, for example, they have a certain energy behind them.
Okay, yep. So it's not spiritual in the way that we see spiritual, but it's more that everything has its own type of energy.
Yes.
Comes from it. Okay.
Yeah, there's a current, a certain energy current, which also comes back to sound.
Which comes back to sound. I gotcha. Yeah, so I can link those two together,
Yeah, and this is where energy and sound, they're almost, I believe they're actually the same thing. I believe energy actually comes from sound.
Yeah.
So it's that frequency again.
Yeah.
That you're letting off.
Yep.
And so whatever frequency you are putting yourself in, and that is your thoughts, your body, and that's where meditation comes involved, and just resetting yourself, going out into nature, all of a sudden you can feel your energy changing.
I get you. Okay.
So your energy is shifting. The way I like to describe it is it's shifting out of the low vibrational energy and it's shifting into a higher vibration.
Yep. So the lower vibration is a place that you don't want to be. Is that how you just describing two elements, really?
Yeah,
this is where you don't want to be, and this is where it's a better place to kind of be. So when you're in a higher energy is a better place.
Yeah. So let's take thoughts for example.
Yep.
So thoughts, again, we can put that into the concept of low vibrational energy frequency and high vibrational frequency.
Gotcha.
So when you're looking at gratitude, for example, gratitude's one of the highest thought processes that you can put yourself in. So if you're feeling grateful for all the different things in your life and you're constantly writing that down or saying it out loud, you're starting to put yourself, your mind, body, energy field into a higher frequency. You're starting to shift into that higher frequency.
Yeah.
If you're feeling and having thoughts of I'm not good enough, I don't find myself attractive and those types of thought patterns, well, they're lower vibrational frequencies.
Yep.
So that's sort of the difference.
Yeah.
What we're talking about here when we talk about low and high.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, so those states then when where you are like that are probably going to manifest themselves in negative ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those thoughts, we all have thoughts and we all talk to ourselves within our mind. So
yeah, some people don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
There is a part of the population, and it's a really high part of the population that don't have that self talk. I can't imagine life going without talking to myself in my brain, but some people don't.
Would that be because
they're
because they're in their higher frequency already and they're walking around sort of in that meditative, like they're going through life.
I don't know. I thought I had something better than them.
I haven't heard that before.
No, but I think they got something better than me now. But no. Apparently, there's people that don't have that self talk. It would almost, for them to hear you say that you like talk to yourself, would almost, in their eyes, they would see you as someone who has like schizophrenia or something like that, because they don't understand that. You just don't. So you imagine someone who doesn't talk to themselves in their mind.
That's hard to imagine.
It's hard to imagine
because I have always got thoughts going on in my mind.
Yeah. So it's actually. Look, I heard it on another podcast, but it's on the internet, so it must be true. Apparently so, and I'd like to see the stats on it, but it was pretty high. But anyway, I forgot where we were then.
I forgot where we were too. No, that's actually fascinated me. I'm gonna look into that myself.
Yeah.
Just talking about thoughts really and what's going on in your mind and consistently that's right. It's really capturing how you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
Gotcha.
And
you can direct that.
You can, but the first part of it is catching it.
Yeah.
And being aware of when you are talking, of a low frequency.
Yeah. And then because you don't want to go down that path, and that if you do then I mean it's you can go down into slippery slope, and then you can be out for days or whatever it might be in this state. So you want to keep yourself in that higher frequency, and so when you do the sound healing, does that aligns you back into that higher frequency?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all of these sound equipment, they're all attuned to certain frequencies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so when your body is surrounded by that, of course it's like I said, it's going out into nature. It's the same concept, and all of a sudden your body is starting to absorb the higher frequency.
Yep. So would it? So is it synchronizing with the frequency? So the frequency comes through, and then as that's resonating, like you said, for 48 hours, or whatever, your body starts to get into that same frequency sort of state, like the waves or whatever it might be, or
it's
the cells or
it is. It's so sound also travels faster through water. And our body is made up of 70 or 80%, whatever it is, of water.
Yep.
And so because it's what, like, our body is literally vibrating.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can even feel it.
Yeah.
So when you come into stillness after a sound healing, the bowls have been playing for quite some time. All of a sudden you stop. The stillness is actually where. And the quietness is actually where your healing is most effective.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden, when everything stops, you start to actually feel the vibration in your body.
Yeah. I could see, even like you told me you listen out for that, like that resonant sound.
Yeah.
I can imagine if I was listening out to that sound, like long term.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden that sound is not there anymore.
Because sometimes when you're playing for quite some time, or your mind can sort of come in at some points and go, oh, this isn't really doing anything.
Yeah.
And then it's not until you stop and then all of a sudden you get that feeling. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
This is really doing something.
Yeah.
So inner sound healing, something I was really educated on in my training, was because the silence is actually the most healing part. What I do in my healings is I offer quite a lot of silence within my sound baths, for example.
Yeah.
So we'll have an hour-long sound bath, but I'm not playing for the whole hour. It'll be in intervals. Like, I'll have little intervals where I just stop.
Yep.
Complete silence.
Yep.
And allow that absorption or that feeling to come through.
Oh, sounds refreshing.
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
Because it got me, like, the sound that you're talking about, the sound that I'm talking about, the different types of applications, whether it's the bowls or it's the megahertz that I'm listening to. Mm-hmm. One of the ways that you know that sound has a real impact is music. Mm-hmm. So you can, like, you look at churches, for example. So a Christian church will have two types. They'll have praise and they got worship. So they're two different things. So praise is generally hey, Jesus, they were, everyone into it, you know what I mean? Maybe rock and roll or whatever it might be, and and you're pumping, Then they have worship, which are in different keys, right? And those keys evoke this emotion in you. And songs do that as well. Like, you could listen to, I've been listening to a little bit more in different songs, and even just some of the mainstream songs. They'll start off with some sort of sound that will just stir an emotion in you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
it'll bring you down to this certain level, and then people they really feel that song. Then they really feel it because of that. And there's things like I know, like Metallica 1. If you listen to that beginning of that, they start off and it's these sounds that really bring you into the song. Or I even heard just like a Pink song, What About Us, or something like that, which I didn't know that song before I was listening out for songs. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning of that song, it has this sound that brings you down to this like certain level. And
then you rise up again.
Yeah. And so the marketing guys know this. Like, the people writing music, they know this. It kind of, provokes. You put some good lyrics behind that. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't even have to be lyrics. Like, you can have that sound, right? And the lyrics could be absolutely terrible about, the most terrible things you can think of, right? But the sound will still resonate with you.
Yeah.
You're not even listening to the music. Vice versa, you could have really good lyrics or whatever it might be within a really thumping song, it may be heavy metal or whatever it might be, but you're not going to resonate with those lyrics because the sound is different. You know what I mean? So when when they get those lyrics aligned with that emotion from the sound, it's like a recipe. It's like,
Yes.
So I've noticed that a lot lately, and that's been like the journey that I've been on. Just listening to, now I understand sound. I'm listening out for songs, and I understand that. With praise and worship and all these different things that they do utilize sound. And so I also want to ask you, I got a concept, and I don't know whether it when you meditate, or when you are doing these higher frequency levels as well, through sound healing and so forth, do you feel like it somehow transcends the current dimension, if that makes sense? So can you get into a place where when you're at your highest frequency, it feels like you're not in the current dimension, like of the day-to-day life that we're in right now? It feels like you're reaching this like higher place. Like when people worship, when you're in praise and worship, when I was a Christian, I would feel that, like, you know, everyone was singing a song together, and they had the certain sound or whatever it might be, and you get into this dimension where things happen. Do you have those dimensions in meditation? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. And dimensions is really got so much to do with higher frequency. Yep. So the more you can hold yourself in that higher frequency, I feel like dimensions is probably just another word for bringing yourself up into a higher frequency.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is dimension is probably not a dimension as such.
Yes.
It's probably a higher frequency.
Yeah, it's the same concept, I think, just a different word.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's how I feel about it myself.
Yeah, you're probably right. I just added that going to another dimension because I couldn't describe it, but probably like a higher frequency. That's probably where you're at.
But it's the same thing. Dimension is still the same meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're leaving, when you think about low and high, you're leaving the lower vibrational frequency behind, and you're traveling up. You're bringing a higher frequency into your body, and of course that's taking you through into dimensions, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the same
sort
of concept.
Same concept.
Yeah.
And a lot of religions have those experiences that where they are going to these higher levels.
Yeah.
And I think good things happen in those places, you know what I mean?
Do.
Whether it's from sound healing or whether it's from them in worship or in that meditation, there's these states where things sort of happen.
Yeah, and it can even just be through, I know I experienced that for the first time even through my journaling.
Yeah.
And again, it was just letting go of all of the the traumas and the memories that I just didn't want to hold on to anymore.
Yeah.
And so of course that's leaving those lower frequencies behind.
Yeah.
And your body just starts to expand, your energy field starts to expand, and you start to rise up into the higher frequencies. It can be so many different things to so many different people. Everyone's a little bit different in what they like to do or what they have experienced. Yep.
And you got levels, long-term levels, like
you can. So I did go up into a long-term level. My very first experience through all this. Yep. And was there for quite a number of months. And I remember the biggest thing for me was as if there was no time. Like time was just a man-made thing.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing as time.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting experience.
Yeah. My dad used to talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So he would always tell me, time was man-made. I'm like, yeah, my man-made. I can measure it.
Yeah.
I get it's man-made. and it is. You got the sun, and you got the sun and the moon. So that's that's time as such. But I understand what you're sort of saying. Like it's like stretched. It's just stretched out. Like it's like eternal type thing. It just goes forever. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
You're in that kind of state.
The concept of, when people say, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. My days, my day's too short to get everything done, which is actually what I was talking to you about before.
Yeah.
I was actually complaining before about in work there's no time to do anything.
To get everything done. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember back then it was it was like I had all the time in the world to do anything and everything that I wanted to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh wow! And so as you go up, as you start to notice your body more, you're meditating, you're stilling your mind. You're able to then hear things or see things in like a different light, like you've got a different lens on now because you're in tune with your body a little bit more. You're in tune with what your surroundings are a little bit more. Things like you told me, when I wanted to quit my job, and I wanted to tell the boss, and then you're like, I'm saying, I can't do it. I don't want to tell him. He's I made up my mind to leave, and you're like, well, you're going to tell him. And so, I don't know when I'm going to do it. Like I was a bit like, procrastinate, and I procrastinate on that a lot. Yep. Like things that I know that I need to do, I don't do them straight away, and then it can be months and years before I get them done, and I carry that the whole time. And you're like to me, why would you want to carry that for? I'm like, yeah, why am I carrying that for? Like it doesn't feel good. So why am I keeping myself in that constant state of stress?
Yeah, and I remember saying to you, I sort of gave you an analogy of like you've got two choices. You can either carry it with you tonight and you can drive home thinking about it. Your kids are in the car and you're not really being present with the kids because, you're constantly thinking, I've got to put my resignation in at work.
Yep.
And then you're going home to your girlfriend and all the rest of it, and you're not present with anyone or not even yourself because you're constantly thinking about this thing that you've got to do.
Yeah.
Or you can just tell your boss now, and when you are picking up your kids from school and going home to your girlfriend, all of a sudden you're a completely different person because that weight has been lifted. You've let go of that. Let's just go back to lower frequency, because you've let it go. Yeah. And
why would you want to carry it? And so I started to evaluate my life through that lens. Like, okay, if stress is like, you can get, like stress is a real disruptor to life. So many levels, like, relationships and health and, everything that that you need. Why would I want to continue myself in states of stress? Whereas before I just carried it. I could carry loads. The world can be chaos around me, but I've got my own ways of dealing with it.
And I feel like that really just comes down to education and how you were raised. And it's great that you had a father that was self-regulating himself. So, you were able, at times where you needed to dive into that, you could look back and go, oh, wow, my dad actually did that. So he actually planted a seed for you way back then and actually helped you in that way. Yeah. I
wouldn't have been open to that stuff now.
Yes.
Had he not done that back then.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so it's education.
Yeah.
And it's something that's not normalised, although it's becoming more and more popular, which is really good to see.
Yeah. And it's the same thing that I was saying to you earlier. By not carrying that stress, you're actually like looking after yourself so you don't have to go down. You're like, it's like a medication that you're kind of like not having to go and, take Ambien or Prozac or smoke, drink or whatever your vice might be to handle the stress. Yeah. You don't have to do it because you've like diffused it sort of straight away. It seems simple, but if you know how much detriment it has to you, then you wouldn't want to carry it.
Yeah.
But we think we can carry all these things, and we think it's all right because, like you said, this is the way that, we did it and so forth. And
I feel like a lot of the time that's got to do with the unknown territory, because people like to be in control.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
So when you're going to your boss,
and 1,000 outcomes that you think,
and you're needing to put your resignation in, that's unknown territory to you, because you don't know how he's going to respond.
Yeah.
And let's go back to fight and flight. You were taking yourself into fight and flight in that scenario because you weren't sure of his reaction.
Yeah.
And that's the part that you were most frightened of. And but once you had done it and let go of it and it was all okay, all of a sudden, like, how did you feel after that?
It's fine. It wasn't that bad. He goes, I knew you were going to, quit.
But
anyway.
How did you feel?
I felt relieved.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about it anymore. And then I could just go on and
you felt
relieved.
You
plan what I had to do.
So you actually let go of that lower frequency.
Yeah.
You shifted.
Well, it's gone.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've shifted from lower into a higher frequency.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That problem's just not there anymore. But you can go through life, like I can go through life with 10, 20 unresolved things just floating around, gonna get there someday to resolve these things that need to be resolved, but I can deal with it right now. But all I'm doing is carrying this big plate of unresolved stuff that's causing stress, and what would be the point of doing it? And there's always things that that require more the more delicate things in life that require other people, and stresses around that you probably have to handle in a certain way that might be a little bit different. But even those things you could probably let go. But the whole point of just what that showed me when you did that and told me that, and I did that straight away, which seems probably simple to most people listening to this right now. Seems like maybe it's a simple thing that they do all the time, but for me, it's not.
I think it's not simple for a lot of people.
Yeah. And that really just showed me that I was carrying around a lot of unnecessary stuff. And then I thought about what were the consequences, what was that doing to my body, what was it doing to myself, what was it doing to my mind, like how was my mind scattered, like I was talking about having that cup of coffee and my mind goes a million miles an hour. And so I think that this new lifestyle has allowed me to be better all round, and I'm only just diving into it now. That's why I couldn't wait to have a chat with you and pick your brain about stuff, because I'm diving into it now to be able to live in a new way that I didn't live before, which I feel like I'm maximizing life, and I feel like my life is getting into like a flow. Like it flows well now. It's like it flows. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to come along.
Yeah.
But it's the way I deal with those things now when they do come along, and I'm in a bit more of a flowy kind of state where I'm kind of whatever's around me, I'm moving kind of like we're all moving together.
I like the saying, you're responding to life rather than reacting.
Yeah. And that's really what it is. And I'm really thankful for you just having, and we didn't talk that much. You only came in once a week, and I'd chat with you quickly about something or whatever it was. But there's so much to learn in this space. I want to try yoga. As I'm getting older, I want to that I'm talking about the exercise part of things, but learn that spiritual side of things as well.
But I mean, yoga is where I learnt to slow down.
Yeah.
So I really dived into the restorative type of yoga.
Yeah.
Where it's all about stillness and slowness.
Yeah.
And meditation, and going into the sound as well. So
yeah, because stilling your mind.
So yoga's not just about high intensity.
Hot yoga
workout. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's so many different types of yoga. And so for me, I found restorative yoga
Restorative
very,
yoga.
very healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might have to look into that. I have found, and I've just found that my brain doesn't race 100 miles an hour like it used to.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm so mindful of everything that's happening around me, more so, that I can enjoy relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
I can watch a movie. I've watched movies that have been my favorite movies forever.
Mm.
I watched them again now.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
I've experienced that too.
I missed that whole thing in that movie. I've seen this movie so many times. So I'm seeing things from a different angle now, which is blows my mind.
Mm.
And real simple things in life that were a puzzle to me. I can't explain it right now, but they'd be very simple. Is that how you do it? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's how you spell that. Or that's how you do this particular task, or whatever it might be. It's my brain is like just, I know it's in a different place where I can where I'm a little bit more in tune with what's happening. I'm a little more focused. I don't believe that I'm kind of like as hyped as I was before in my mind. I'm thankful for all that stuff that you've taught me so far.
Awesome.
It's been good.
I'm really pleased that it's helped.
Yeah, it has done. I don't know there's much more to kind of say about that, but I like the sound. I'm looking forward to like doing a bit of like sound stuff now after this.
Yes.
With the sound stuff, do you reckon you could show me now? Like, can we hear it through here, or is it something you have to kind of be in a particular state to kind of like do it, or relaxed, or is that a chest piece, or what's that?
This one's a gong.
All right.
I'm not sure whether it will be heard through the microphones or not, but we can give it a try.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Damn.
That's a good one.
I can feel that kind of like just going through the body.
Actually, this is a pretty good room to do it in with the
like soundproofing. It's
soundproof, all the padding.
Yeah,
because it's all just vibrating through the room really well.
Wow. And what's this? What are these? Is that just a?
So these are Tibetan bowls.
Tibetan
so
bowls.
That's another version of that one. If you want to give that a go, so just hold your hand out flat.
I'm master at this now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get that resonant thing that happening right at the end.
So it does go on for quite some time.
Yeah, wow.
Brought the drum.
Oh, yep.
This is really lovely.
Oh, wow.
So you can hear the resonance in that.
Yeah. Wow, that's just going through my whole body. It's amazing how different cultures, like, you know, like the didgeridoo, obviously the Native American Indians, the Buddhists, civilizations or cultures, that have been around for so long, have been using stuff.
Absolutely.
Forever.
Exactly. I brought these two little instruments as well. So this is like a little pods. So I use these towards the end as they're coming out of a meditation.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like rain.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's like really soothing.
You know what? It almost make me fall asleep. Just listen to that. Wow.
Yeah.
And what's this one? Is that something?
That's for my crystal bowl. I brought a couple of crystal bowls for you.
Okay.
To try it as well.
Oh, cool. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this for me because I just get people on and talk about things that I'm interested in, and I feel like it's really just the tip of the iceberg for me with all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm caught on one aspect, which is sound and slowing down now, but also the de-stressing and stuff like that. I really believe that whatever's going on, like physically for me, and that I think through diet and rest, I got a good chance of, coming on top of anything. The best chance, I guess that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that's probably a worthy cause for anyone, is that, this seems to be able to give yourself the best chance to align yourself properly, get out of those stressful states. Diet's obviously a big one, but why wouldn't you want to give yourself like the best chance of fighting disease, or having the best relationships that you could do, or living the best way that you could?
Yeah.
Being able to enjoy life, what's around you, enjoy. I'm really enjoying life right now.
Awesome.
Which is really good, and it's thanks to you, and thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, this is my first podcast, and I must admit I was really nervous when you asked me.
Yeah.
But no, it's exciting at the same time. I've really enjoyed it.
This is the first one we're videoing, and Ruben said to me he wants to start doing more podcasts, and Ruben's my best mate. I've known Ruben since I was like 14. Yeah. So we've been mates forever. And for him to encourage me to kind of do this and do lifestyle stuff. Yeah. Whereas before I was digging into other stuff, but now I'm just fascinated with all these cool things that you can do to enhance your life. This sound
and that's your journey, right?
Yeah,
so you're sharing your journey with other people, because other people are going to be in a similar situation to you. Yeah. And so you're wanting to share that now and educate other people. This is how we can do it.
Yeah, I'm a little evangelist again. All right, cool. Awesome. Thanks for that. I really appreciate it, Mel.
Thanks, Adam.